Welcome to Rad, a daily reader for Reddit. Like and subscribe for daily Reddit videos. LPT, what to do if it's too late to evacuate from wildfires. G'day mate. Looks bloody awful over in America. Those wildfires are right nasty. Lucky us Aussies have been surviving through all that and much worse for at least a couple centuries. And I'm here to give you guys the inside info on how to survive. 1. If you live on an upslope, ridge, or narrow forested road, get the frick out early, no help will come. People here who stayed and changed their minds later, and couldn't escape because trees fell within minutes and blocked exit routes. Firefighters were either unable to get in, or were forbidden due to extreme risk of being cut off themselves. 1,200 liters of water in a Cat 7 is like pissing into a hurricane, especially if you're up on a ridge. 2. If actually caught and unable to escape, dig in and cover with dry woolen blankets. Please fill your bathtub before it hits. Water tanks will melt real fast and you'll have no water. The thing that might make the difference between life and death could be as simple as layers of wool blankets, a low sheltered concrete corner, some sheets of tin, some dry wool blankets, and one moist towel to protect from radiant heat. Wet clothing or sheets are inferior to a wool blanket and you will boil alive. Do not cover yourself in anything wet. 3. If defending your house, wool or cotton long sleeves and leather boots. And wear leather gloves if possible. You can throw burning stuff back but without gloves, no way. 4. Remember that the only safe area to run to is often into an area already burnt. You can also survive by having a shallow grave and laying in that under dry blankets, a layer of wet stuff and tin, and breathe through a wet cloth to avoid suffocation. You'll collapse real freaking fast without oxygen. And remember also, many houses are made with plastics and toxic gas-causing materials, so yeah, stay safe out there. And honestly, if you live on a ridge or uphill slope, run now. Your life is worth more than stuff. 5. If you think you can defend, don't forget to protect your water tank and exposed poly lines. If that goes, you're fricked. People on gravity feed systems, this is your weak point. We were lucky enough to have a small Honda pump and Cat 7. But our tank was on fire several times. If that had gone, we'd be gone. Remember this, especially if on a bush block with some tank uphill off in the scrub. If you're not gonna be able to save that tank, forget about it. You're going to lose your house. Get out now. 6. Remember, fire can move up to 400 kilometers, 250 miles per hour uphill. If you change your mind and live on a ridge, you are quite likely fricked. Don't die for stuff. Escape, and we can hunt down the corrupt fricks who made this happen later. Channel that anger to the ones who sold us out and gave away our water and our future to line their own pockets. Stay safe, America. Edit. I had no idea this'd blow up so much. And it's great to see so many people invested in keeping fire safe. But you're all freaking legends. Biceps, and thanks to everyone who's put forward awards. I'm not sure what they do, but I appreciate y'all care so much. Points worth clarifying. A Cat 7 is a type of firefighting engine available in Australia. Not sure what your American equivalent would be. Never use water to cover your blankets or yourself. Ever. Use it as an external barrier to embers on the outermost towels. Actually, I'm a chick says the large bodies of water are good to venture out into if necessary. But keep in mind you need a decent level of physical fitness to maintain treading water whilst also inhaling smoke at the same time. Never use synthetics or anything with a synthetic blend. Wool is best on a budget. Duvetine is probably the best material available. 100% cotton towels will also work in a pinch. Never synthetic. Edit 2. Wow, this really blew up. I'm freaking honored. And I'm glad to see so many people out there really giving a crap about fire safety. All your suggestions, feedback, and positive discussion really reignite. Haha, my faith in humanity. We can all get through this if we work together. Biceps. I'm working my way through all your comments. And there really are a lot of them. And trying to answer as many questions as I can. For those wondering what a makeshift bunker looks like, this one was erected in desperation and saved 2 adults and a dog from certainly roasting to death. They stayed in there, breathing through an orange juice-soaked dressing gown, for 3 hours. Christ. Happy for your friend and his GF and dog to survive, but that had to be the scariest 3 hours of their life. Maybe try and help them to see a professional regarding PTSD. Just another day in rural Australia, mate. I have a few questions. 1. Why was wool used to stuff the interior? 2. You said not to cover yourself in anything wet, but their gowns were soaked in orange juice. 3. Did they wet the roof of their makeshift bunker? Caption said a layer of wetness on top. Okay, so basically the metal absorbs radiated heat from the fire. Think of a heat sink on a CPU in a PC. A wet layer of cloth is placed under the metal in order to protect the wool from catching fire. The wool insulates from the worst of the radiated heat, and then the people under the wool had moisture-laden cloth to breathe through as the moisture catches a portion of the smoke particles that can do insane lung damage. I just watched a video on the Yellowstone fire today and they mentioned small rodents evading the fires completely because they were underground. In the Deccan bushfires, thousands of animals apparently survive by taking shelter in wombat holes. Clutch fire shelters from probably the broest animal in Australia, noise. How did they not bake in there? It looks like they assembled a makeshift oven. In oven, fire inside, death. In oven, fire outside, life. Oven without fire is just insulation. In fact, I might have to see if I can fit in my oven. Could be the safest place in a fire. Till I need a bigger oven. That'd be an awkward conversation at the appliance store. Yeah, do you have, like, man-sized oven? The fire itself doesn't kill you. It burns up fuel and pisses off quickly. What kills is radiation. The heat radiates 100 yards in front of the fire. If you can protect yourself from the heat radiation long enough for the fire to pass, you will be fine. It's not like they were actually in an oven with a constant flame at their sides. Ingredients: adult human, 2. Dog, 1. Orange juice 500 milliliters. Cover ingredients in tin sheets. Put in oven at 400 degrees for 3 hours. Serves 5 people. I had trouble telling this was a recipe because there weren't 19 paragraphs about your family's summer vacation before I got to the instructions. Yes, and just to reiterate what Op said, if the blankets were wet they would conduct the heat into the makeshift shelter. Keep them dry. It is tempting to pour water on yourself. Firefighters have died in their shelters after doing this. It's not the heat, it's the humidity. Quote. Yeah, you can survive much higher temperatures in a dry sauna than a steam one. More like grabbing a hot pan with a wet towel instead of a dry one. Water conducts heat 24 times faster than air. I have a nice scar on my foot from grabbing cast iron pan out of the oven full of butter and steak juices with an oven mitt that I hadn't noticed got wet. Burned my hand. Dropped the cast iron. Deep fried the top of my foot. Just for anyone concerned about the steak. After I tended to my cooked foot and miso cleaned up the mess, we rinsed off the steaks under the tap, reseasoned them, and then blasted them on high heat again and made a nice steak salad and used the leftovers for sandwiches. So not a total loss. Did you toss a deep-fried foot or save it for leftovers? This is genuinely the most life pro tip I've ever seen on our Life Pro Tips. Most of what you've described sounds terrifying, but your advice sounds solid. Stay safe, people. 2020 Life Pro Tips: how to literally stay alive. Pro life tip. Frick me, that was a terrifying read. Very interesting, but I'm glad us POMs don't have to deal with that yet. Good on you. Stay safe. POMs. Pomegranates. Pomeranians. Australian slang meaning British people. Prisoners of His Majesty, i.e. the people arriving in Australia from the UK. Also, if you are sheltering in your house, your instinct may be to stay in an interior room like a bathroom. Don't. Always make sure you have at least one exit directly to the outside of your house. Stuff windows and doors with wool blankets to keep smoke out, but don't trap yourself. But yeah, the biggest LPT is, get out early if you're going. Fire moves fast. You can't outrun it. I really appreciate how I can read this post in Steve Irwin's voice. That is the best compliment an Australian can receive. I'm honored. You can test number 2 by trying to pull your tater tots out the oven with a wet versus dry cloth oven mitt. Probably the single most useful bit of advice I've seen in a while on Reddit. Dig yourself a shallow grave. Best advice for 2020 TBH. What is the advantage of the dry wool layers? Don't often have wildfires where I live, so I'm genuinely curious. Natural, dense weave fibers are a lot harder to combust than flimsy light weave, as there is less oxygen in the material which the fire can use as food. Think about the difference between lighting up a piece of paper to a dense piece of cardboard. The paper will flash combust immediately, and the cardboard will smolder and go out on its own. It's a natural insulation as well and will shield you from a lot of the heat. Also, it needs to be dry because water will transfer heat from the outside straight to your skin. Unbelievably fast. If you don't believe me, get an oven mitt good and wet and try to pull something hot out of the oven. Not only is your hand being burned, but the heat is stuck there until you can rip the mitt off, burning your other hand. Preheating my oven now. Edit. Burned my hand. Well, that sucks. Edit. Thanks for the award, but I'm in that award and I don't like it. Thanks for watching Rad. Like and subscribe for daily Reddit videos. If you like these videos, check out Rad too.